Thanks very much, Mfunda. So Absa came out with their half-year results today for the 6 months ended June 2025. The bank reported total income of 56.5 billion rand. That's up 5.2% on the year prior, while headline earnings per share came in at 1,354.1 cents. That's up 14% on the year before. The company's return on equity also ticked up to 14.8% from 14% on last year, while shareholders are set to get a gross interim dividend of 7.85 rand a share. Well, to take us behind the numbers, I'm joined by newly appointed CEO, Kenny Fihla. He is the CEO at Absa Bank. Thank you so much, Kenny, for joining us. So your headline numbers are looking quite decent, and I see that your gross loans and advances were up 8% at 1.5 billion rand, while deposits were up 13% at 1.4 billion rand. Just give us a sense of what drove the latest numbers from your multi-country operations.
I think there are a number of factors. The first is that the underlying health of our client franchise is very solid. When we look at the performance of our CIB business, it did exceptionally well, especially the global market business. Towards the sort of later half of the first half of this year, we saw a significant growth as well in our CIB business of the asset book, i.e. loans to customer. So that business seems to be sustaining the momentum, and we're very pleased with that. We saw an improvement in the sort of quality of our book in our PBB business, i.e. our retail business. That business had a terrible period last year, and certainly the focus that was put in ensuring that we originate good quality business, we improve on the management of risk, came true, and we saw impairment in that business coming down and therefore providing a relief, which has resulted in the significant improvement in the performance of PBB South Africa. The RBB in Africa region continues to perform well. The strength of the diversified franchise, i.e. our business in Ghana, in Kenya, in Uganda, as well as in Tanzania, continue to do well. There are still some challenges in parts of the footprint, like in Mozambique, but I think overall, we are benefiting from a well-diversified business where people are focusing on the right kind of things, and I think this momentum, if sustained, will result in a much more better 2025, and we have provided a guidance to that regard.
Yeah. So, Kenny, when it comes to your loan advances, just in terms of the commercial side, where are you seeing the bulk of that going? Is renewable energy still a big thing? Where are you seeing the investments?
Renewable energy, absolutely. The momentum is still there, and we continue to do well in that regard. We are also seeing some positive green shoots emerging in other sectors of the economy, i.e. some early start, that is starting to build momentum in the retail sector, and we have been party to supporting some of the clients that had to restructure their debt and ensure that they are adequately supported. We continue to focus on the broader energy sector beyond renewable, and we think there are some opportunities there for us to support clients and ensure that the infrastructure that is required to give people access to energy is built, constructed, and ultimately can contribute to unlocking the potential of our country's economies. The consumer is starting to feel a little bit better, even though the GDP in South Africa is not growing fast enough. But our early delinquencies are starting to subside, which suggests that consumers have geared and therefore are able to start spending, and consequently drive the slight improvement in the demand for credit. We will, however, continue to look out for risk, because we're not out of the woods yet. But at the end of the day, we have to support the growth of the economies and make sure that we selectively back clients where we think it is appropriate to do so.
Yeah. So, Kenny, you're newly in the seat, as I mentioned at the top of my introduction. You've just been there a couple of months now. Are you still trying to get your feet warm under the table, or are you starting to have conversations with the board around maybe tweaking strategy, or you're just about implementing what's there?
I think it's a bit of both. There's a lot of engagement with the team and with the board about the areas of the business that are doing exceptionally well and the plans that I think are starting to deliver the green shoots that I was referring to. And those ought to continue. They shouldn't be disrupted at all. But I think there are areas where we can do better. And the tilt and the shift that we are working on now is intended to have that additional leverage on areas that still need improvement. At the end of the day, the business is not just about stabilizing the platform. We have to stabilize the platform because it gives us a license to grow. It is that growth part that our new strategy that we'll be unveiling in the next couple of months will be focusing on.
The last thing, very quickly, Kenny, is what is your outlook for the South African economy for the second half of this year going into 2026?
In our view, we think the SA economy this year will grow probably by about 0.9 percent, which is significantly less than what was projected at the beginning of the year, i.e. where we're looking at about 2% GDP growth. So clearly there are certain things that are holding the South African economy back. We hope that with all of the initiatives that are currently underway, by both business and government, that we will see an improvement going into 2026. But there's still some massive risks that are facing South Africa, and everyone ought to box smartly and try and remove as many of the obstacles as we can.
We hear you. Thank you so much, Kenny, for your time and for sharing your results with us. That was Kenny Fihla. He's the Group Chief Executive at Absa. Let's hand it back over now to Mfundo.
Thank you very much, Nompo, with the details and a roundup of your markets in just a bit. Stay with us.